This is my first video of January. I know it's January the 15th today, so I'm probably a little bit late. I should have done one last week, but we did have a very quiet Christmas. My family and I, there were about 12 of us getting together. We've had two major losses in our family in the last 6 or 7 months, and none of us really wanted to celebrate Christmas, but we thought we should do something. Because we have to get used to our new normal. But as it turned out, I was a little bit concerned about being cheerful and sociable over Christmas, but as it turned out, most of us went down with COVID, and so it was very quiet. I spent Christmas with my daughter and her lovely partner, and actually it was exactly what I needed, and I was glad to get through Christmas and New Year with two very calm, very sweet people. And now we're on the other side, and I'm glad for that, because when you lose somebody, as I lost my husband 5 months ago now, as somebody said to me, one of my close friends, Julie, she said, unfortunately, you've got a year of firsts ahead of you. And Christmas and New Year were a big one. The next one, I suppose, will be Valentine's Day and then my birthday, but that's not till April. So, this is not going to be all about being miserable and being sad. This is actually about one of my books, and this is Broken Faces. This is my first book. And so for those of you who know me and who visited me before, thank you very much. For those of you who don't, my name is Deborah Carr, and I'm a USA Today bestselling author of historical fiction in that name. I also write contemporary romances as Georgina Troy, and I've written a couple of thrillers as Ella Drummond. Thank you for joining me. If you want to be alerted each time I post a video, which I tend to post a slightly longer video, usually about sort of 10-ish minutes, not really too long. If you want an alert, please click on the red subscribe button below so you can have that. Do remember, if you like this video, to give me a thumbs up, and if you've got any questions, please just ask. So, as I said, I'm an author, and like most authors, we want to be published. Traditionally, that's the idea in our heads. I had my first experience of sort of achieving something, although at the time I didn't realise it, when I was runner-up in the Good Housekeeping Novel Writing competition back in 2012 now. Gosh, that's over 10 years. And I was runner-up, and I was very disappointed that I was runner-up until I was told by my agent, who was one of the judges. He wasn't my agent when he was a judge, well, when I entered, but after the competition he loved my book, which was Broken Faces, is probably the mirror image, I'm sorry for that, and asked me what I was doing and signed me up, which was very, very exciting. He's an incredible agent. And he told me I'd beaten 7,000 other entrants to the competition. So I thought today that one of the things I could talk about is how to find that publisher, how to build yourself a writing CV, because you need to have something, and entering competitions is a really, really good way of doing it. I don't know if they have this competition every year, but there are many competitions. If you buy the writing magazine, which I still subscribe to, I've subscribed to it forever, it will have a list in the back of all the different competitions you can enter. You can also, and it also tells you about, I must actually bring in a couple and do an actual video about the magazine. There are other writing magazines, and they're all very good as far as I'm aware, but that's one I'm still subscribed to. And it will say what publishers are looking out for people, probably, and little snippets of things that you can enter work in, like flash fiction or things like that, poetry. It's very, very useful, and has subscribers news, so you can find out from other people what they're doing. My personal road to being published was mostly you buy Writers and Artists Yearbook every year. Bought that for years, and you can find all the publishers and the agents in them, what they're looking for. I have got a massive spreadsheet of different agents and publishers I subscribe to, and it was only when I entered this competition that I actually was signed by an agent. We parted ways. I've talked about this before, very amicably. He didn't manage to sell my book, and he thought I could do better elsewhere. By that point, I was also self-publishing my Georgina Troy books, and I then got a publisher myself for those books, and he thought I was doing better by myself. I felt he was just saying that because he didn't know what to do with me. Probably he hadn't sold my book, and I tried to write a couple of other books for him and he didn't like them. So either way, it was the right thing for me and for him, clearly. And then what happened was I self-published Broken Faces, and Charlotte Ledger, my now editor, the legend that is Charlotte Ledger, who runs One More Chapter, a division of HarperCollins. It's a digital first, but my books are also in, so they initially go out in ebook. They're in large print, most of them. They're also in audiobook. So I love digital first. It works for me. And she picked up, I don't know how, and where she discovered it, and read Broken Faces. And this book is set during the Great War. And Charlotte happened to be looking for an author to commission to write a book to mark the centenary of the end of the First World War. And she just messaged me, and from that came, I signed up to write The Poppy Field, which got me my first USA Today Bestselling author. It's not an award, whatever title, I don't know what you call it. So that was very exciting, and I've now written my, let me think, I've finished and I'm working on some edits for Neighbours at War. That's out at the end of May. It was supposed to be out the end of March, but after my husband died, both Charlotte and my publishers at Boldwood very kindly allowed me to have some time off. So my books are slightly delayed with both sides, but not really by much. Just 2 months, so it's at the end of May, Neighbours at War. But since The Poppy Field, I've done The Poppy Field, my Mrs. Boots trilogy, based on the people behind the Boots the Chemist empire. The wife, Florence Boot, was a Jersey girl, like me. And I've also done An Island at War, which is set during the Jersey occupation, as is Neighbours at War, coming out at the end of May, and The Beekeeper's War, as well as The Poppy Field. So I can't remember what that is. So I think I've just written probably my 7th book for Charlotte. I think it's my 7th book. I think so. Anyway, I thought I would read you, I've got a short prologue. Some books really work for prologues, some don't. Broken Faces did. And this book, as I said, it's set during the Great War. It's about 4 friends, and Freddie, who is secretly in love with his best friend Charles's fiancée Mary, and Charles's younger sister Lexi, who's actually in love with Freddie, but he just sees her as his best friend's little sister. And it's what they go through during the Great War, and how when one of them has a life-changing injury, how they all cope and how it affects their lives. So this is the prologue, and this is the beginning of the book that helped me be runner-up in the Good Housekeeping Novel Writing competition. Prologue, 1918. As the weight of the plaster of Paris slowly increased on his face, he tried to steady his breathing and not give in to claustrophobia. It would be worth it in the end. He concentrated on the gentle American accent of the woman clasping his hand. She had a kind face. Her lack of shock when he had been unmasked was admirable. Or was it simply she had grown used to seeing men such as he? They told him she was a sculptor. Someone overheard her say she saw beauty in the men she helped, and that those men with missing noses and shattered faces were like the sculptures she created. All he could think about, apart from the suffocating pressure on his nose and mouth, was a poem he'd heard someone recounting back at Les Invalides. Was it by Yeats? He wasn't sure. He recalled it was about Easter in 1916, but not referring to the front. Even so, the words still resonated. How did it go? He couldn't quite remember. He was now one of the girl cassés, one of the broken faces, and his life would never be the same again. All changed utterly. A terrible beauty is born. W.B. Yeats, Easter, 1916. And then we start in London, November 1914. And on the front of the cover is actually my grandmother Mary's picture. And when you sign up to my newsletter, you can get the free, you can download the free novella called Beautiful Faces. And it's got her picture on the cover. And this is an unknown soldier from the First World War. And here this says, when all is not fair and love and war. And that's the log line. So if you read it, I hope you enjoy it. And thank you for listening today. I hope you have a great week, and I'll be back again next week. Thanks for joining me. And remember, if you like this, please subscribe.